And welcome to Nights Around a Fire. I'm David Tomsic, and I'm here with Sue Taylor.
Hi!
This is our second podcast on this channel. You might remember the first one was with me and Ashley Hamilton, and I think we talked about missing 411, how people have gone missing in our national parks. Very interesting video. If you haven't seen it, please watch that one. Now, today's topic, Sue, is...
Bigfoot.
Everybody's favorite topic.
Woohoo.
No doubt about it. I've loved Bigfoot for maybe 30 years. I've followed everything I could. Now, Sue is our researcher here on this particular topic. And Sue, you've been looking at this for a long time.
I think I've been into Bigfoot since I learned how to read.
Wow, that's quite a while.
Yeah.
What have you found out? What are we dealing with here with Bigfoot? Now, most people, let me qualify, most people have an understanding, have seen Bigfoot stickers and all kinds of things. T-shirts. We can model our T-shirts here.
Merch.
Merch, right. But we're going to get, in this particular program, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, the origins of Bigfoot. Am I right?
Right. So Bigfoot is not just the horror movie character that you have seen in things like Willow Creek or Snow Beast. He's not just that. He actually goes a lot further back in history than just those things.
So what year are we actually talking about? Now, I remember from my world, I first heard about the Yeti.
Yep, the Yeti.
In the Apple, what was it? The
Yeti is in the Asian
Himalayas.
In the Himalayas, yes.
And that's my first experience with the Yeti. But where does it go from there?
So if you want to get into the Native American origins of it here in not just the United States, in Canada as well, because Canada's got a lot of Bigfoot sightings up there. It goes back to the Native American tribes that were out in the Pacific Northwest. And we've got different tribes up there, and they've started with the word Sasquatch.
Sasquatch.
Have you heard Sasquatch before?
Yeah, and I think probably a lot of people have, and we know it's a generic term for us because we're not Native American, but we all kind of think of a big hairy creature. Is that what we're dealing with?
It is a big hairy creature. Most likely it is a black or a dark brown kind of fur. If you've seen Harry and the Hendersons, that's not a bad rendition of a Bigfoot.
You're dating us, so
I know. Yeah,
that's a movie, a comedy actually, and it was an interesting movie, and I recommend it because it is very entertaining. You talked about Willow Creek.
Willow Creek is it's also, there's a lot of very bad Bigfoot.
Very bad.
What's the word? Pop culture these days.
Yes.
There's a lot of very bad movies. There's a lot of bad books. I can recommend some very good books, and I will do so as we cover Bigfoot on our channel here.
And what we'll do is we'll post those Sue's picks in the description box after the video. So check them out, and I think you can probably find them in libraries.
Amazon.
Check out Half Price Books. I'm sure you won't go wrong there.
No, absolutely not.
So we're talking a creature that's been around a while.
A creature that's been around a while, and I am going to horribly butcher this pronunciation, so let's just put the word on the screen and everybody can read it.
Okay.
It is the Suateo word, which might be the Salish term for Sasquatch, which was the Native American tribe that was up around the river right along the Washington-Canadian border.
Right. Now, when we're talking the Washington-Canadian border, and I know on our first video, Ashley and I talked about people missing in state parks, which doesn't encompass every square foot of basically forest in our country, but a large part of it. And these places are vast.
Yes.
So the Native Americans lived there. They lived off the land. They probably knew a lot more than we do and were able to see a lot more than we do. What do they think Bigfoot is, the Native Americans?
So Native Americans thought that Bigfoot could be like the guardian of nature, or that he could be some kind of a spirit of the wilderness.
Well, I think our forest needs some guardians. We see a lot of clear cutting. We still see a lot of forest being taken down, and we do need a guardian there somewhere. So we're talking a creature that's what? How big we looking at?
So most reports say about 8 to 10 feet. If you get a juvenile, they might be closer to 6 feet, so a little on the smaller side.
That's a big animal.
It's big, so I think about the weight that we're talking about when you see these footprint casts.
800, 900, 1,200 pounds, possibly.
Yeah.
That's large and terrifying. So the Native Americans talked about this. Anybody else early on start talking about Bigfoot before it became a pop culture icon?
So I will give you a trivia question here for you, Dave. Do you know which president thought he saw Bigfoot?
Was it Roosevelt?
It was Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy.
And Mr. Roosevelt thought that he hadn't seen Bigfoot himself, but he had a friend who had seen Bigfoot. And he covers his story of this in his 1893 book, The Wilderness Hunter. And a friend of Roosevelt's named Bauman, Bauman, guessing with the pronunciation here, don't come for me, was trapping with a friend along the Salmon River in Idaho, along the Idaho-Montana border in the Bitterroot Mountains. So Bauman and his friend go out for the day. They come back. Their camp has been destroyed. They don't think anything of this. They say, okay, happens. Put the camp back together. And while Bauman is cooking dinner that night, his friend takes a look at the tracks that were left by what they presume to be a bear.
Logical.
His friend says, Bauman, that bear was walking on 2 feet. And Bauman says, that's not really a thing.
Not really.
And so they go to bed that night. And later in the night, Bauman wakes up and there is this just horrible smell outside of his tent.
Okay, now for folks, that's one of the telltale signs many people believe make you know that a Bigfoot's in the area. There's a very terrible smell. Skunky, wet
Dog, skunk, kind of just horrible, like the worst body odor that you can think of, kind of stench.
Bigfoot doesn't bathe, apparently.
No, he's apparently not got his recent Instacart delivery of his hygiene products.
So he comes out of his tent.
And he doesn't see anything, so he goes back to bed, and the next morning they get up to go do their hunting again. And they come back, and once again, the camp's ripped up. And they said, this is getting to be not normal. This is not right. We got to get out of here. So they pack up camp and leave. And it was one of the earliest documented cases of Bigfoot in history.
Well, I know a lot of people out there, and there's all kind of people. So I'll say fake. Some believe there is a Bigfoot. And it's hard to separate, as it is with a lot of mysteries, legends, and myths, which is what this program is going to address, by the way. And while you're at it, please like, subscribe, and share this video. This is one of many. We're going to get into a lot of different topics. You'll see Ashley back. You'll probably see all three of us. And I want you to appreciate getting away from reality for just a short while and come join us on a hunt for the legends of our time and really in history. So please like, subscribe, and share. So we fast forward a little bit, and that didn't really boost it into an icon, right? This was still a murky legend that a few heard about.
Yeah, it was discussed, and one of the very earliest in North America predates the Teddy Roosevelt description. It was a guy by the name of David Thompson who was a fur trader. And he reported back as early as 1811, and they also had some reports from 1818 and 1819. So after that, it really was kind of quiet for a little bit. Then in 1924, there were some miners who claimed that they were attacked by an ape-like creature.
Where was this at?
That was up in Washington, which you will find the state of Washington has a very high ratio of Bigfoot sightings. Now, there are Bigfoot sightings in every state, but there are a particularly large amount in the Pacific Northwest.
And now this is obviously because of the wilderness that's there. And of course, it joins into Canada, which is another wilderness country. And there are millions of acres between the two of really uncharted territory there.
Yep.
So I guess it makes sense that people like hunters, trappers, and people that live or work in the woods would have more of a chance of seeing these creatures than the average person living here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they weren't reporting Bigfoot coming into towns and
Yeah.
terrorizing the town or anything like that.
Okay, so they're more a rural phenomena.
Yes.
Okay, so we have Bigfoot, and then I think there was a film, and I think it was the film that brought Bigfoot to the front of American pop culture.
You would be thinking about the Patterson-Gimlin film,
Yes.
which I am sure, even if you don't know the name, I'm sure you have seen it.
Yes, and you can see the picture here. We're putting that picture from the film,
Patty.
and from it you can see it's not. No, this was what year we're looking at?
1967.
So we did not have high definition or 4K cameras back then. This was a 8mm or 16
It was a
millimeter?
16 millimeter.
It's a 16 millimeter camera. You're not going to get a lot of clarity, but this really was a very good picture for people to be able to analyze because it was still outside of the forest. There was a clear pattern, as you can see, a pathway to see it. So what do we know about this film?
So it has been analyzed countless times since the 60s. And one thing that they have said that everyone kind of agrees on is that the technology in the 60s just was not there to make a suit that moved the way it does on this creature. So think about even like the Sesame Street puppets, like
Right.
the cartoon puppets from that time frame. Like those were not particularly elaborate.
No.
So to make a suit that would conform to a human being like that they could really like make that movement and you can really see the calf muscles defined, that was not possible in 1967.
No, this was a female.
Yes,
So
they
we're
do believe it was a
mammillary
female.
grams. Am I saying that right? Glands that were
Yes.
seen in this video.
Yes.
And of course, you can see enough detail. So, as you said, this has been analyzed by some of the top people that actually study film, do debunking films. I guess for years, for decades, this has been looked at.
There is still a lot of debate over it. A lot of people believe it's false because of the fact that Roger Patterson was a former rodeo rider, so he's had that star aspect,
Yeah.
and he was out there to actually look for Bigfoot. So it's kind of, did he actually go out there and find Bigfoot, or did he just make a really good Bigfoot suit?
Yeah, I don't think he made a very good Bigfoot suit because I don't think it was made. I believe maybe he was just had dumb luck going for him.
I agree with you. I also think that it's a real film. I think that it's a good capture.
Now, if you look at it, folks, and again, I'll put it back up here on the screen. You can say that, well, that's a suit, but that's not a suit that they could actually make back then. The types of, and if you ever watch those shows where these people make all these sci-fi creatures, they are judged on how good this suit is and how real it is. Now, this is today, modern day, with some of the best special effects artists in the world, with some of the best special effects textures and paints and things. This was 1967. There wasn't a lot going on. And even in the movies, there wasn't a lot going on where they could create a creature like that.
There were not a lot of cosplayers in 1967 making
No
Bigfoot
cosplayers. There it
costumes
is.
at home. That was just not happening. So for them to have either Patterson spent a lot of money making a really fancy suit, or he actually caught a Bigfoot.
I don't think he made really much money off of this.
No, he did not make money off of it.
And there really wasn't a way to even do that because, again, making money off something that no one heard of before. It'd be different if today someone came up with a perfect film. They're going to ask for that, and they're going to pay big money if you come up with a film of Bigfoot. Doesn't happen very often, does it?
No, it doesn't. And it even, especially in today's age where everybody's got a camera, everybody's got a video device with them when they go out there, you're still not seeing that type of stuff.
Okay, so you bring up the devil's advocate in me. Okay, so everybody has a camera. 4K cameras on these phones. They're out in the woods. They're everywhere. Why hasn't one been filmed?
Well, there could be two reasons. One could be that Bigfoot is a portal jumper.
Okay, portal jumper. Can you explain to our audience what that is?
Yes. So basically, Bigfoot has portal openings in various places in the wilderness that he can come and go from our realm to other realms as he pleases. So as you are pulling your phone out to take a picture of Bigfoot, Bigfoot is going into the portal. So that's why they just kind of up and vanish with some of the sightings.
Now, this has been a topic I've talked about, and we talked about on our first video, that there are portals, and science has proven that there are portals, that we are attempting to create portals. And if you know the big Hadron Collider in Switzerland, the CERN Collider, they are opening portals in that particular collider. And that thing is a massive machine, never before built. I mean, it's the most complicated machine in the world. And the thing they do is collide, I believe it's electrons together,
Yes.
I believe. And they look into it and they can see openings. Now, we believe they are also natural. And Bigfoot may not actually be a scientist and create them, but he knows where they're at and he knows where to go. I think that he knows the places that have that, and as Stephen King said, a thinny.
Yes.
A thinny. Where the worlds meet, there's a thin spot.
And there is a lot of theories that Bigfoot knows a lot about humans. They know what guns are, they know what cars are, so they know that we're looking for them. So be it that they can just go blend into the wilderness, or be it that they can disappear into their portals. They know what they're doing and can get away from us.
So okay, so they know. So when's the best time? How do you know when to go find a Bigfoot, where to go? Obviously, the Patterson film was in Washington, Oregon, right?
Right, right.
But, if you're going out, what are the best odds of finding a Bigfoot? How do you even begin? Because there's all kind of shows, and they go into the wilderness and never come up with something. Was there some key to this?
Not particularly. Now, if you read Max Brooks's book Devolution, he talks a little bit about what happens if you try to engage in wood knocks with them. Have you heard about Bigfoot and their wood knocks?
Yes, that's when they use another, like a log or a big stick, and they beat it against a tree.
Right.
To communicate with another Bigfoot.
If we went out and did it, it would just be us beating sticks together. But Bigfoot can actually take and beat a log against a full-grown tree. And that's a communication tactic for them. They also use rock throwing, and they've got howls that are off of the chart.
Yes, and I think we do have an audio we're going to play.
Do.
For that, and we're going to hit that right now.
So this howl is from right over the Ohio-Pennsylvania border in Columbiana, Ohio.
Close by here.
It is. Not take you long to get up there and see if you could recreate that.
No, yeah. Interesting, and this is something that has been duplicated. Others have heard these howls who have been in the woods.
There are a lot of documented cases of howls. There are a lot of books written where they reference howls, and they all sound kind of the same. There is a great series of books that I am hoping to get into deeper in a later episode that they talk about that the sounds that they heard outside their house sounded like a jungle full of monkeys. If you went to the monkey house at the zoo, that's what all of them sounded like.
Yeah, now this is something that people who actually hunt or live in woods or out there a lot, and even professionals who are scientists can say these aren't normal howls. These
Right.
aren't howls of any other animal known in those areas. So that's been sort of brought up because I know people say, well, it could be a coyote. Though the coyote and a lot of other animals have a specific sound footprint, and they can use technology to identify it.
Now, speaking of coyotes, Bigfoot supposedly does follow after coyotes. Apparently, it's a good hunting experience for them.
Really?
Yeah, they stay with the coyotes to do some hunting. If it's kind of mixed on what Bigfoot eats.
Yeah, some believe he's a carnivore.
Yep.
Some believe he's an omnivore.
Yep.
And of course, we don't know.
I don't actually believe he's a herbivore. Like, I feel like the carnivore is a little more... I'm sure Bigfoot does like to get a few plants in his diet.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But I think he probably does want food. For that size, you're going to need to eat a lot.
Yeah, you're going to need some
1,200
protein.
pounds. So I think we talked about this before, Sue. There's a day that sightings were like the most prevalent? There is a day of the week. Can you tell us about that?
So there is an organization out there that handles Bigfoot sightings and reportings, and they have reported that they get their most Bigfoot reportings on Wednesdays.
Wednesdays, not Fridays.
Not Fridays. No, Friday is their least reported day.
You would think that that's when people would leave their homes to go into the woods on a weekend, right?
Right. And I mean, even have a few beers and maybe think that they saw a Bigfoot.
Right, yeah. We know the campfire stories.
Right.
Okay, so how do we look at studying a Bigfoot? Obviously, we don't see them. But I know throughout the years, and Harry and Henderson's was one of them, they had plaster of Paris casts they make of the feet. Am I right?
Yes, you are correct. So that was actually 1958 in Bluff Creek, California. They found some footprints. And they took some cast of these footprints and they published them in the paper. And that was actually where they came up with the term Bigfoot.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these.
There are. Now, they did say that a lot that went on in this particular instance were faked casts. But if you go down over the West Virginia border, down to the West Virginia Bigfoot Museum, they've got some plaster casts down there.
Okay, so let's clarify this for folks. Okay, so if you're on the borderline or on the fence here, and Sue just gave you some basic information on Bigfoot. And of course, you might be thinking, it could be a scam. No one's ever found one. We've never actually physically had a good picture of one. Yada, yada, yada. Now, we would say that, of course, it's very difficult. As Sue said, there's possibilities that they can walk into certain areas and disappear into another dimension or another forest, another part of the forest.
Or another planet.
This can go in any direction. You also got to realize that Bigfoot can blend in to a forest. I mean, this is probably what they do. They're brown. And the forest, no matter what time of year it is going to be brown tree-wise. So these folks can hide. The other thing is that footprints don't lie. Usually you can tell a fake, and today you can tell a fake from I understand, a fake from something that's real when you're out in the woods. They take films, they usually measure, they usually put the cast down, and a lot of the programs on History Channel, TLC, there's good and bad of those, but generally the best ones document these pretty well. And I believe that you can probably write off quite a few of them, but I'm going to say that a good portion of them are real footprints, because obviously these creatures do, being as heavy as they are, would leave footprints in wet areas, by creeks, sandy areas, by a beach. You're going to find that. So Sue, we're not here to convince people that Bigfoot exists. We're here to give you the evidence that we feel is out there. I have a feeling. I've never seen one, and I'm hoping we can do a little expedition and maybe just go out and see what it's like. Maybe not to physically hunt a Bigfoot in Washington State, but to get into woods to see what it's like for you to understand how difficult it is to go into the woods to do anything. This isn't simple business.
No.
And it's a cryptid, right? They're called cryptids.
Yes, it's a cryptid, and frankly, I think it'd be easier for us to go out and hunt for ghosts.
Right, probably is. You can probably locate them easier.
Yeah, then I feel like there's a lot more tools that you can use to narrow them down.
Well, folks, please leave a comment. And while we are here, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the program. We want to know what you want to hear from us. Again, this is today's Bigfoot. The last one was missing people in the forests, which does coincide with some of the things we're saying, because there's a lot of mysteries in the forests of America, and probably a lot of mysteries in the forests of the world. Let's be honest. They're dark, they're big, and we don't always see what's really there. Let's be honest there. So please leave a comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And while I'm at this, if you enjoy politics, geopolitics, economics, and commentary by me, go over to my channel on the David Tomsic Show on YouTube. I'm sure you'll enjoy that. that's another whole unreality world there, the world of politics. But on that show, I pretty much hit hard what's happening in the world accurately and with great commentary and analysis. Remember, the David Tomsic Show. So let's get back to Bigfoot. So, Sue, what's next?
Well, do you want to talk about Bigfoot being an alien? Do we want to get into this?
Okay, so right off the bat, I don't believe Bigfoot's an alien.
I also don't believe Bigfoot's an alien. I don't believe he's a portal jumper either. But I know some people who do. And hey, that's a very popular theory.
It is. And the reason I believe that, okay, we're going to go back to the 411 missing.
Yep.
Okay, because in our last video, which was maybe 6 weeks ago, unfortunately, we're going to be many, many more faster. We talked about that, Ashley and I, and literally disappearances in forests. Some are generic. You know, they were hiking and they took a wrong turn and we don't know where they're at. But a lot of them, okay, and I say a lot, people just disappear. They're walking in a row, 4 people. The 4th person, within 4 feet of somebody, they're talking, they turn around, they're gone. Gone. Another story has been told many times in many different areas that people walk into an area, a small clearing, and there's a stairway going up somewhere. They come back, it's gone. I think there's a lot of things happening that we don't understand because, again, is this supernatural? Maybe, maybe not. Is it the portals that are, again, people believe do exist, scientists believe do exist? Are things appearing because they are in a thin spot where these portals combine? Let me know what you think. Sue, I know you're not a portal girl.
I could be swayed more on the portal side than I could on the alien section.
Yeah, that's a non-starter.
Yeah, I believe that Bigfoot's a descendant of Gigantopithecus. And if you look at all of the sightings across the world, remember, the continents used to be connected. So for a creature of that size to be able to cross the Bering Strait, that would not have been a big stretch at that time. And there's a lot of country out there that is not explored, that has not been seen by humans. So maybe Bigfoot's just really good at hiding out there.
And I think that's probably the case with a lot of things we kind of look for. You know, we don't have all the information. We have a very small window we get to look through. And of course, we have not been out in the woods. I mean, I've been in the forest, but I've never actually hunted anything like Bigfoot before. I've never even thought about it. But being in the woods, and I told Ashley this, you're there at night. I'm not talking in your local woods like by your park and there's some woods there. I'm talking in forests, wall-to-wall trees. It's frightening. It can be overwhelming. And people who say, well, Bigfoot can't exist because no one saw him, unless you've been in forests and know how big these things are, you may never find something you're looking for there. People disappear in a small area, in like a 40-square mile park, say a national park. They get lost in there. We can't find them in a 40-square mile. With all the technology we have, they can't find them. So what are you thinking about something that lives in the woods permanently in 100,000 square miles or 150,000 square miles? It'd be difficult to find.
And doesn't want to be seen by us.
Sue just hit the nail on the head. It's hiding. It is probably fascinated with humans as well, but I think they fear us to a degree, maybe not physically, but they'd rather not interact.
Yeah, because I think with them understanding the concept of guns, I think that they definitely know it's safer. They may not hurt me, but it's safer to stay away from them because they're capable of using those items.
Yeah, and I'm guessing if they grabbed you, you'd be done. Something 10 foot tall, 12, 1,500 pounds, you got no shot.
You don't have much chance there.
Yeah, you'll be flying through the air with the greatest of ease, I think.
Yes.
Okay, so where do we go from here with Bigfoot? I mean, we look at it as I say, as an icon. It's a modern day mystery. And if you look back over time, over the hundreds of years, the most fascinating times, I believe, was before technology really hit the world, where you actually physically had to climb Mount Everest without specialized equipment and guides. You actually had to go into jungles without modern equipment and GPS and such, and exploring and finding new things. And that's kind of the idea behind this channel, going back to that time where there's still mysteries. And there are. And it's interesting that these mysteries, even in the midst of the technology we have today, still can't be debunked, still can't be understood. And you either write them off completely, or like me and Sue, you kind of get a feeling that where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's fur, there's a Bigfoot.
Right. So do you think that the U.S. government knows that there's a Bigfoot?
I absolutely think they do.
Yes.
Excuse me.
100%.
Because one thing about the U.S. government, they have resources to do investigations. They have resources to do a lot of things that we are unable to do. For us to go on a big expedition, we'd need someone to say, hey, here's $50,000. I mean, and you need equipment. You need specialized equipment. You need a guide. You need whatever you have. You've got to be prepared for the worst, to stay in the woods, to rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Not an easy task. So those people that say, well, no one's found a Bigfoot, I challenge you to go find one, to go out and look, or just to look. And I can tell you that just here in western Pennsylvania, we have been told there are Bigfoots, right, Sue?
There are definitely some sightings here. There is at least one from over in 84, which is not terribly far from where we sit right now. There is supposedly a Dogman out in Claysville. There is a mountain range just past Greensburg, heading up into Ligonier, that has a very high reporting of sightings. And then if you go out into the middle of the state, Clearfield County, I have been in Clearfield County at night, driving those roads by myself, and I have just waited for Bigfoot to come out in front of me.
There you go. So you see, it's very prevalent even in areas like this. People have seen them. Now, Dogman, you mentioned Dogman.
Dogman.
Now, we talked about this off camera. What's a Dogman?
So a Dogman is kind of like a Bigfoot, but it's also like a werewolf. So what you want to picture is something with Bigfoot size and then the face of a dog. And I am going to put a term on the screen right now that I am going to butcher. It comes from our good friends down in Louisiana. It is a loup-garou. Loup-garou, thank you. See?
I think that's how it's pronounced.
I think you are correct. And that is the Louisiana kind of twist on Bigfoot with the Dogman approach to it.
So right now, we're looking at more than one type of cryptid then.
Yes.
So friends, if you ever heard of any of these particular things, let me know, because in your area, if you've heard of any of these terms in your area, Sasquatch, right?
Yes.
Dogman, Rougarou, what other?
Skunk ape.
Skunk ape.
Skunk ape's down in Florida.
And of course, it has the name because it smells like a skunk. They all seem to have a smell, and usually this comes well in advance of people even knowing they're there.
Yes.
So this is how many people believe they know that there was a Bigfoot in the area. Any other names? I think the Russians, Russia, they have their own.
We've got the Yowie.
The Yowie.
Yowie is also a Native American term. Bigfoot has been seen all over the world in so many cultures that every culture pretty much has their own take on him. Yeah,
and I know here in America, as you mentioned, the Native Americans have pictographs.
Yes.
Found in caves and of course on artifacts, and even in modern day they've carried that down through their shaman, their priests have told stories of these creatures, and usually this isn't just because they make up stories. Usually these are stories they tell to pass what has happened to them over the decades by mouth. They explain to their next generation what they've confronted. Now, we talked a little bit about this next thing I want to mention, Sue, and it's the skinwalker.
Yes.
Now, skinwalkers are terrifying, and they're really a cross between maybe not just an animal, but a spiritual thing.
Yes. So a skinwalker can actually take on another form to convince you that it is somebody you know or somebody familiar to you, and to get comfortable with you and get close to you and get inside of your world.
Yes, another name for them is shapeshifters. And this is, again, a Native American term. And I'm not going to be like Sue, I'm not going to try to butcher a Native American word. I'm barely able to speak English. But the skinwalker, the basically is a legend where it's somebody that turned into like I don't want to say a demon, but a spiritual creature that manifests with basically an ugly thing with antlers, a long nose with teeth, and they very long arms that's sort of beyond their knees, and they can change shapes, and they can mimic voices. They can
Yes.
mimic things.
Yes, they can.
And they want to lure you into the woods,
Yeah,
away from safety.
The skinwalker wants you to come with it. It wants to coax you out of your safe space, and it wants you to come with it so that it can use you for its own bad purposes.
We'll just say bad purposes.
Yeah.
Now, interesting about this, and I've heard quite a few stories about skinwalkers from Native Americans that I've watched, and these things can be literally be someone you think you know, a child you lost, your mother, and somehow they know this. How they do it, you can guess as much as I can guess at how they would know that about you, but they seem to do that. And of course, you're in the woods, and you're
Wendigo.
Wendigo, that's it.
So just, you can say Wendigo as a research term, but it is very bad luck if you just throw the term Wendigo around.
Yeah, these are not nice beings. These are evil beings, and they exist in folklore.
Yes, and these are very old spirits. These are spirits that are linked to cannibalism and have some very dark histories in the Native American culture.
Now, if you want some other information, the Lore Lodge is a great place, isn't it?
Yeah, our friends over at the Lore Lodge have done a lot of great work on Wendigos and Bigfoot.
Yeah, and that is just how it's spelled, the Lore Lodge. Many videos. Now,
We'll find a good one and link it for you in the comments.
yeah, we'll link that for you. I think people are probably thinking, I don't never want to go in the woods again.
Fair.
Now, back in the day, and I think we talked about this on the last video, back in the day, there was always mysteries from our ancestors, whether it's the Dark Ages before, about things in the woods.
And I think that's something that we've kind of lost in today's history, which is why I'm glad we're here, because we need to go back to that time where we talked about the things that went bump in the night or were lurking in the woods, or that monster that's hiding under your bed, because I don't know about you, but he is under my bed. he is there. I fight with him every night.
Well, well, I know for myself, I remember the wood nymphs and the fairies and all the things you see on fantasy. Those were things not just developed by movies. These were the fears of people back 400, 500, 600 years ago, probably before that. I'm sure throughout history, when you went into those woods, you had to have some sort of caution, some sort of fear, because again, nobody knows what lurked in there. Of course, in real time here, we have wolves, coyotes, bears, multiple types of bears, big cats that can pretty much do harm to you in many of the woods in America.
And nature's dangerous. You know, there's a couple of good channels out there. Mr. Ballin tells some stories that prove just how brutal nature can be if you're going out there unprepared.
No doubt that when you go on an expedition, and a lot of people, you see them on TV that do this, you'll see the precautions they take. And I know it's the same with Bigfoot hunting. Mm-hmm. It's not like they're worried so much about Bigfoot, but I think, if you go to Alaska, for instance, you're dealing with every predator known to man there, plus the elements. It's a dangerous place to go. I think there's an Alaskan Triangle.
Yes, yep. And then there's the Bennington Triangle up in Vermont.
People disappear there.
Yes.
This is documented, friends, documented. So we're not just here luring you in with bait. This is how it works in the woods. And if you want to go on an expedition with us, well, we can't afford it. So right now we're just going to stay put. But we are going to do the one in Claysville, aren't we?
We are going to go out and check on that Dogman in Claysville.
Yeah, that's about 25 minutes from here.
Yeah, we can do that one.
We can do that one. We're not really equipped for big expeditions. We don't have any sponsors. Anybody out there?
We're open to sponsors, though. If you know anybody or if you want to sponsor us, we're open to the challenge.
We're open. We'll take the challenge. If you want us to go somewhere, get us what we need and we'll go. Now, Ashley said she'd be afraid to go because she thought she'd be the first one to get snatched. Okay, well, so what you want to do in the comment section is, Ashley, don't worry, you won't get snatched. We'll make sure you don't, but you never know. There's a lot of interesting things. So, since this is our first video, so let's tell these folks, these good folks that are watching, you're trailblazers, because, again, this is the second video for this particular channel, so we're growing and learning. When I do the David Tomsic show, it's just me in front of this mic. A lot easier, but when you start getting into other things, it gets a little more complex. But we're here to give you the best we can about information. Sue's an excellent researcher, so is Ashley. I do some, but I leave it to the ladies. They seem to be better at it than me. And I'll sit here and moderate, because I do enough talking on my own video podcast that sometimes people don't care to hear. If you want to hear the truth, go to the David Tomsic show, remember. So Sue, what's up next? What things do you think we'll cover here for the good people who watch?
Well, if we want to stay on the Bigfoot side of things, I would really like to get into some more specific Bigfoot cases. If you guys out there have anything that you particularly want to see, please let us know. I need internet rabbit holes to go down. I am happy to research anything. Just toss it out there. One thing that we should get into at some point is Mount St. Helens.
Yes, big time.
If there is a book series called 100 Bigfoot Nights. I think I have that number correct. I would like to really dig into that. And if the nice lady that happened to write those books and did those videos happens to see this channel, you send us an email or comment on this video and we will be in touch, because I would love to talk to you.
Right. We're open, because this is a new channel. We're open to your suggestions. We're not locked in. Bigfoot is something we both kind of enjoy. Matter of fact, my backyard, I have 4 Bigfoots in there. And I
got my Bigfoot stuffed animal sitting just off camera.
Yeah, she has quite a grouping of things. This one's a cute guy. He looks benign. Sue can show you.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not as fuzzy and nice in the woods.
No. This little guy was made by our friends over at the Little Star Friends. You can check their link out in the comments.
Oh, nice. So, Bigfoot is a good topic. We're going to look into UFOs.
UFOs.
I'm pretty much an expert on UFOs from when I was like a teenager. You'd be surprised at what I've found. Of course, we're going to go into other folklore. I'm sure we're going to cover spirits and ghosts.
We got a lot we can do with the paranormal, and I think we should probably talk about some of our local haunts and ghosts and legends that we got going on here.
Now, let me go on record saying we're not promoting you go look for ghosts with your own meters and stuff. We're not sure what ghosts exactly all are, and we know that I'm sure there's a lot of ghosts that pretend to be ghosts that may be something more. So we know this. We're not promoting, you to go out and be a ghost hunter or anything, but we're going to talk about some of the theories behind them. We're going to talk about some of the locations, And to be honest, I know some people want to avoid these topics, but it's interesting because there are a lot of crazy things that happen. Again, it's part of mysteries, legends, and myths. You know, man does not know everything.
They don't. And I, for one, like to be scared. I like to hear the creepy ones. But if you've got something that's not creepy that we should talk about, let us know. There's lots of things out there. And I know that Ashley likes to do research and dig into some stuff. I've got some ideas of what she could take a look at. So you guys let us know what you want to hear.
Yeah, we're open to that. And again, if you have a story of your own, let us know. Matter of fact, I will tell a story Ashley told on the first video. And I know you heard this, Sue. And those of you that watched that video, thank you. But she and a pastor friend of hers went to a church for a youth group meeting, and it was a rural church. And it was in the woods. And they drove up, got out of the car, and he went and fumbled to get keys, and they heard, Mommy. I think it was Mommy. And there was nothing. Everything was silent, and this voice came out of the woods. Now, she said, well, you know, you can always say there was somebody there just doing it, but there wasn't. And where was this voice from? Again, your guess is as good as ours. We're definitely going to look into things like that and maybe come up with our own theories, maybe just for the entertainment factor. Let's face it. Life's too short to sort of just get hammered by everyday life. Sometimes it's good to get away. Why do you think they make movies?
And we've got enough stories between the two of us of some interesting experiences that we've had that we can tell you. Oh. And there's plenty of places here in our little town that are haunted. We've got some business owners who would love to have us come hang out and tell you their stories. So hopefully we've got some fun stories coming for you.
I think personally, I have a couple of my own stories that have haunted me since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are reasons for it, I'm sure, psychological reasons. But nonetheless, they're all pretty interesting. And I think for those of you that want to maybe get more into science, we're game for that, too. If you want to get into theories about that, we can talk about CERN, what CERN is. Again, it's a collider that's built in Switzerland, a pretty sophisticated machine. Maybe if I get time, I'll put it on a picture of it on this particular program when I edit. Space flight. I know Ashley and me are doing one on the blue, the Bezos flight of his space.
Oh, that'll be a good one.
You know, and she did some research on that. That'll probably be on the Tomsic analysis, the David Tomsic show. But there's a lot of things that, again, space flight, the moon landing. There's plenty of conspiracy theories out there that, you know, people argue over all the time. Did we go to the moon? And if so, did we go all 3 or 4 times? Is 3 times? I don't even know.
Yes.
You know, and some people believe the first time was a fake. We'll talk about that. Are we really going to go to Mars? You know, I mean, I sometimes wonder about some of this stuff because a lot of money is being spent on things that to me are useless. It's nice to say we went to the moon, but what have we done since?
What exactly did we accomplish by going there?
Right. So these are the things we can debate. So if you got those things, let us know. Again, this first program here, we want to hear from you, our viewer. I know Sue and I have had a lot to talk about over our 23-year friendship, and there's never a dull moment because there's a lot of crazy stuff in this town and southwestern Pennsylvania.
Yeah, southwestern Pennsylvania is a very interesting place. We got some fun cemeteries we could go check out, and not even just for the creepiness factor, but there's the church nearby that's got some heroes from the Whiskey Rebellion buried there.
Interesting. That's right. We also have some robber barons that pretty much ran a town here, Carnegie, and a lot of stories about them and their mills and a lot of creepy things that happen in steel mills.
We could tell you about the Black Hand of Canonsburg, too.
Right. There's the Black Hand of Canonsburg. It was an organization, not a good one, and it ran roughshod here for many years.
Yes.
And it was an interesting end to it, how that ended. That may surprise you. So hopefully we can get you enough things going here that you'll be interested for years. So I think we've covered enough today.
I think we're good.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. If you have friends that you think like this stuff, tell them, hey, go over there to the Nights Around the Fire. We'll put a link in the description box to everything we talked about today, some of the books that Sue wants you to read. We'll get that in there. And don't forget to go over to my channel, The David Tomsic Show, if you want news, information, analysis, commentary. Beyond that, we'll see you next time right here.
Don't forget to squatch that like button.
That's right. Squatch the like. I like that. We'll see you next time on Nights Around the Fire.
Bye, guys.
Take care.